श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम्। घनानां त्वा घनपतिगं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पतान् शृण्वन्नोतिभिस्सेदसादनं प्रणो देवी सरस्वती वाजिनेवते दीनामवित्रयवतो गणेशाय नमः। सरस्वत्यै नमः। श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम्। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। ओम साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ओम जयन्ती मंगलकाली भद्रकाली कपालिनी दुर्गा क्षमा शिवदात्री स्वाहा स्वादा नमोस्तुते। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। Sairam Lin, Sairam from Malaysia.
Sairam Sharma, Sairam from New Zealand. Thank you, Bhagwan, for allowing Sharma and I to give this wonderful story about Swami and his relationship with the rose. And we welcome our viewers as always. Om Sai Ram. Several times Mata Betty said to me, Swami is the rose. And that was for many reasons. Now, she loved roses, and when she was alive and her husband was alive, they had a beautiful rose garden. They would always plant a rose in remembrance of those that they had loved in their lives. And that garden just grew and grew and grew. They had so many different varieties and wonderful fragrance. Mata said that when she finally came face to face with Sathya Sai in Prashanti Nilayam, she remembered thinking, he is the rose. She said, that's exactly how I felt, Lynn. It was his beauty, his natural fragrance, the sweetness of his presence, and the joy all around him, the happiness he gives every day in and out. And she said, when I take my groups to India, I tell them, I never said spiritual life is easy. It's not a rose garden. It is Sathya Sai who is the rose. Because even being there in Prashanti, even to this day, it's not always easy. It's not all rainbows and stars and angels. It's hard work. But that energy of Swami is there. Pure love, divine love. And Mata always said Jesus, too, was pure love. There is nothing in the world like it. She had many photos of Swami standing in a rose garden in Kodai Canal. And of course, as most of you know, Kodai is a mountainous hill station in southern India, about 10 hours drive to the south of Bangalore. And Swami used to go there for a few weeks during the month of April. He had a small ashram there on the shores of a beautiful lake. And Mata used to go there too. And she said during the summer of 1987, Swami was standing in a Kodai Canal rose garden with some of his students. And suddenly he waved his hand in front of a small rose branch and materialized an oval golden pendant with a hologram contained within the gold frame. That, of course, is a three-dimensional image on a two-dimensional surface. And the image was that of a rose. Swami began shaking the pendant, holding it with his two fingers, saying, see, it is developing. And then he held it up for the students who were so delighted. And the image of the rose kept changing color from pink to white and then back to pink again. And Ma said that there was so much joy on Swami's face. She says she believes it gave him so much happiness to see the delight on the faces all around him. He is as joyful as a small child. And it's because he's always giving, from his heart. He wants nothing in return but your love. And he has repeated this message many, many times in interviews, discourses, and even in the dreams that he gives. I have seen a rose lovingly grown organically without any chemicals put on it, a beautiful, fully opened rose placed on an altar here in New Zealand by one of his devotees. And the rose begins to materialize vibhuti on every petal. It starts along the edge of the petal, and believe it, it goes right down, the vibhuti, right down to the center of the rose and in between every petal. If there was ever any proof that Swami is the rose for that, for seeing that, and I have seen it many times, that is it for me, and I have photographed it. We will use the photo in a future talk. But you see, as Ma said, when you give joy, you give out an energy. It is a happy, joyful energy, a God energy. I mean, roses give joy. They take nothing for themselves, and even after they are picked, they continue to give off their beautiful fragrance and their color, their perfect form, and they give pleasure to everyone. They are a symbol of deep, pure love. And of course, Swami often said, make your life like a rose, which speaks silently in the language of fragrance. Swami always addressed us as embodiments of love, and he started every discourse by greeting us as embodiments of love. You know, when a person is thanking you for your service or is giving service to you, giving thanks is an act of giving from the heart. That person thanking you is thanking you from their heart. That's where thanks come from. So be gracious. Be gracious when you're thanked or when you get service from another. As Mata said, if all the world interacted like that, we would surely have a golden age. Now, don't misunderstand. Nothing can equal a gift of food to someone who is suffering from hunger, or a soothing word, a bandage or some ointment to an injury that occurs in your immediate vicinity. But so much mental and spiritual injury occurs today, not just physical injury. If you see someone in trouble or distress, instead of gazing with disinterest or worse, interest or even amusement, it can be the simplest situation. You don't have to look very far. Mata always said, open your eyes and your hearts and give out that attention, whatever you can do with your resources. Swami has always asked that we evolve into this giving being. And it has to come from the heart. And the heart has to undergo transformation before this can be accomplished. It's a waste of time trying to be compassionate when your heart really isn't in it. And Swami spoke about this many times for the need of the transformation of our hearts. He said, people live with so many ideas. There is a saying, as the heads differ, the thinking also differs. We do not think of the demerits or the defects when there are friendship and when we are together, when there is love. Whatever you do is bound to be good. But when we separate and no longer are seeing that person or are unhappy with that person or things fall apart, Swami says everything turns hateful. And he said this is the effect of the modern day, and this is not good. We should develop divine feelings at all times, and therefore we have to foster good qualities in society. To do service, we should develop sacrifice. Compassion, mercy and love, sympathy, such noble qualities originate from spiritual transformation. He is the rose He is divine love, and he asks that we see our spiritual heart unfolding like a rose. And in the center of that rose is that radiant heart that is filled with love for all. Om Shri Sai Ram.
Om Shri Sai Ram. तस्मात् कारुण्यभावेन रक्ष रक्ष साईश्वरा. हरि ओम तत्सत् श्री साईश्वरार्पणमस्तु. ओम शांति शांति शांति.